Damn it, you didn't see it at all? That was an ape. That was a goddamn ape. Tell me you got that.
I think so. It was far away, but I think so.
The Congo is a breathtakingly beautiful and truly sensational place, but beneath its stunning exterior, a darker side often lurks. The region is home to some truly terrifying phenomena. From encounters with unidentified creatures to shocking jungle finds, here are 20 creepy discoveries in the Congo that shocked the entire world. Number 20. A rare gorilla species. Back in 2008, a group of researchers in the forests of the Republic of Congo found 125,000 western lowland gorillas. This was a substantial increase in their estimated population. The gorilla census was conducted jointly by the Wildlife Conservation Society and the Republic of Congo. They identified these gorillas in two areas covering 18,000 square miles in the northern part of the country. These gentle giants, primarily herbivores, were living in peaceful family units in almost inaccessible regions of the deep forest. The expansive area, known as the Green Abyss, offered the animals abundant food sources. Before this discovery, the estimates from the 1980s suggested fewer than 100,000 western lowland gorillas existed, and numbers had been declining by at least 50% due to hunting and disease. However, the newly discovered population raised their estimated numbers to 175,000 to 225,000, a significant revelation amidst the threats posed by Ebola and bushmeat hunting. Although it was a vital discovery, researchers have said that the gorillas are still not safe. The threat of Ebola and ongoing hunting persists, and there is still a massive need for continued conservation efforts. Number 19. Mamba, the 50-foot crocodile. The Mamba crocodile of the Congo is a legendary creature that is said to inhabit the waters of the Congo River and the surrounding area. According to folklore, the Mamba is an enormous crocodile of immense size and strength, capable of attacking and devouring humans and animals alike. There have been many different descriptions of the Mamba, but it is typically depicted as a massive reptile, much larger than any known species of crocodile. Its appearance is often described as fearsome, with sharp teeth and powerful jaws. A regular crocodile is super scary, so one of this scale is just too terrifying to imagine. The legend of the Mamba crocodile has been passed down through generations among the indigenous communities of the Congo region. Tales of encounters with the creature tell of its ability to overturn boats, drag people underwater, and instill fear in those who live along the riverbanks. Of course, the existence of the Mamba crocodile has never been scientifically proven, but that doesn't stop numerous reports of sightings and encounters. Some researchers speculate that the Mamba may be based on encounters with exceptionally large crocodiles or other undiscovered aquatic creatures. Maybe this is a case of the same situation that fishermen often exaggerate about. It was this big, honest. Number 18. Giant Congo snake. People have been spotting snakes for much longer than the internet has existed. Here we have an old-timey photograph that is alleged to have been taken back in 1959 by a colonel in the Belgian Air Force while stationed in Belgian-occupied Congo during the 1950s. He claimed to have been flying in a helicopter over the Katanga area of the Congo when he spotted something down below. The colonel claimed to have seen a snake below that he believed was 50 feet in length and had a head that appeared to be 2 feet wide and 3 feet long. This image is said to have been taken by a photographer who was on board the flight. Although this could just as easily be a picture of an earthworm in the mud, the snake described was allegedly close to 50 feet. What do you think? Did they see some ancient and undiscovered species of snake that was really huge? Or was it an oversized African rock python? Perhaps the colonel was having a funny 5 minutes, but let's have a conversation about it all in the comments section below. Number 17. Drone carrying gold and guns. Well, this is one of those absolute piles of steaming garbage that the internet is so very fond of reporting and then turning into a so-called news story, when in fact there is absolutely nothing whatsoever even vaguely resembling the truth here. We should all just go and find something else to do. Perhaps we should go outside for a bit. I'll see you there. This footage is unsubstantiated and alleges to be of a downed drone that some people say was carrying gold, guns, and parachutes. Then again, others have said that it was carrying humanitarian supplies. It has been said that it was a United Nations drone. So, I don't know, maybe it was the second thing. The internet is just full of trolls, bad actors, and plenty of political nonsense that makes up stuff about the UN. Why? But whatever, this is nonsense and we will just swiftly move on. Number 16. Gold in a mountain. Again, this is probably best to take with a pinch of salt. This is footage from 2021, which alleges to show people from nearby villages rushing to a mountain in Luhihi in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It seems to indicate that the mountain was stuffed full of gold. Some people have said that the mountain contains between 60 and 90% gold deposits. Naturally, when a mountain is suddenly advertised as being full of gold, a lot of people will turn up and start digging. So many people appearing on the scene can really take a toll on the already flimsy infrastructure of an area. The local village was under so much pressure that authorities apparently banned mining in the area. Apparently, there are lots of different types of minerals in the earth in Congo, and low-budget, do-it-yourself mining is relatively commonplace. As a result, there is also a great deal of exploitation. Now it's time for today's topic. A group of Japanese explorers recently traveled to the Congo after hearing numerous rumors about unidentified creatures emerging from the dense, uncharted jungles. Locals shared chilling stories of beings with strange, humanoid features spotted near remote villages, fueling the team's curiosity to investigate. Upon arriving in Congo, the explorers met local guides who led them deep into the heart of the jungle, far from civilization. The journey was treacherous, with dense vegetation, dangerous wildlife, and eerie silence surrounding them. However, after days of exploration, they stumbled upon something no one could have imagined, a group of alien-like creatures standing among the trees. The beings had elongated heads, thin limbs, and large black eyes that stared blankly at the stunned group. Surprisingly, the creatures seemed calm, even posing for photographs, which the team captured in disbelief. Locals, however, were not shocked, claiming these beings had lived in hidden parts of the jungle for centuries, avoiding human contact. The photos have since spread online, sparking debates. Some believe the explorers encountered an unknown species, while skeptics argue it's an elaborate hoax or a misunderstood tribe. The truth remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: there are parts of this world still hiding unimaginable mysteries waiting to be discovered. Number 15. The Lost City of Zinj. The Lost City of Zinj is a fictional place that features in Michael Crichton's 1980 novel Congo. So, this may be rather a wrong point, but there is a region that is historically known as Zanj, and that is, or was, a real place in medieval times. In fact, this is the word that was historically used to refer to Eastern African slaves who were brought to the Middle East and parts of Asia, particularly during the medieval period. The word Zanj itself is derived from the Arabic term for the East African coast. The Zanj were predominantly enslaved people of East African descent, including regions such as modern-day Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique. They were captured and sold into slavery through various means, including raids, warfare, and trade networks established across the Indian Ocean. The Zanj became particularly significant in regions like Iraq, where they were enslaved in large numbers on agricultural estates and in salt mines. They were subjected to horrific labor conditions and often rebelled against their enslavers, leading to several notable uprisings, such as the Zanj Rebellion of 869 to 883 CE in southern Iraq, which lasted for more than a decade. Number 14. The Asango Bone. The Asango Bone is an ancient artifact that was discovered in the Democratic Republic of Congo near Lake Edward, all the way back in the 1950s. It is a piece of bone that most probably came from a baboon, which has markings on it that suggest to archaeologists that it was used for mathematical calculations. The thing is, though, that it is really super-duper insanely old, like the oldest calculator ever discovered, dating back to around 20,000 years ago. This bone is considered one of the oldest mathematical artifacts ever found. It is approximately 10 centimeters long and has a series of notches carved into it in 3 columns. Researchers believe that these notches may represent some sort of primitive form of tally marks that may have been used for counting or tracking of numbers. Some interpretations have suggested that the markings may have been used for basic arithmetic, lunar or menstrual cycle tracking, or even early attempts at multiplication and division. The significance of the Asango Bone lies in its potential as evidence of early human mathematical understanding and its role in the development of numeracy. It provides insights into the cognitive abilities and cultural practices of ancient societies in Africa. The artifact is currently housed in the Royal Belgian Institute of Natural Sciences in Brussels, Belgium, where it continues to be studied by archaeologists and mathematicians. Number 13. Billy Ape. In the mid-1990s, a photographer and conservationist named Carl Ammon came across a weird footnote in an old manuscript, and it got him all kinds of excited. Anyways, what Ammon discovered would lead him to look at a bunch of unusual skulls that had been disregarded up until that point. The skulls were a real head-scratcher, and they had been classified as gorilla skulls but were from an area that had no gorillas. Ammon then decided that this was a mystery he needed to solve. He would spend the next decade rummaging around in the Billy Forest in remote northern Congo, looking for these mysterious apes. What he found are believed to be traces of these apes, but no conclusive evidence. Finally, after a lifetime of searching, DNA evidence was tested, and it concluded that the apes he was searching for were none other than, drumroll please, chimpanzees. That's right, 10 years and multiple malaria infections only to discover that there was no new secret ape at all. Sucks to be him, but, full marks for effort nonetheless. Number 12. Unexplained Sounds. Apparently, there are weird noises in the rainforest. I mean, really, who would have thought it? Some of these sounds have been described as deep, rumbling groans or eerie, high-pitched whistles that echo through the dense foliage, leaving many baffled. Is it possible that when the least populated and most remote areas of forest wilderness are vaguely probed by YouTubers, they might actually hear something weird? Well, probably. I mean, everything sounds weird if you never leave your basement. Others have suggested that some of the noises could come from undiscovered species of animals, perhaps massive insects or elusive amphibians hidden in the depths of the rainforest. But there have been a few reports from people who actually live near the region, and they believe that there are strange noises in the rainforest. Some science nerds have suggested that it could actually be tectonic movement deep below the surface. Others speculate that the unique acoustic properties of the rainforest itself, dense foliage and varying humidity, might amplify or distort ordinary animal calls, while others, naturally, have said that it is scary monsters and ghosts. Seems likely because, why not? What do you think, though? Go ahead and have all your opinions about it in the comments below. Number 11. Giant Spider. Next up, we have a spider that is actually a mythical creature. The largest known species of spider in Africa is the baboon spider, although the last specimen was captured over 100 years ago and exists only in the Natural History Museum in London, England. Although, if you were a spider who kept seeing your friends being captured as specimens, you may well decide that the best course of action is to make yourself scarce and hide away from any nosy parkers that point a magnifying glass in your direction. Anyways, this big hairy spider is known to have been a venomous tarantula that was found across Africa, and in particular Nigeria. They would live in burrows in dry scrublands, grassy areas, and the woodlands of the savanna. They would dig themselves down deep underground to protect themselves from the heat. Even though very little information exists about these Hercules baboon spiders, they were, or perhaps still are, believed to be completely massive. In Congo, there is a mythological creature known as the Geoffy, which is said to be a spider that is the size of a dog. It sounds terrifying, but nobody has ever actually taken a picture of one, and no real evidence of its existence has ever been witnessed. But like all cryptids, there are plenty of tales and folklore that give people the heebie-jeebies about them anyway. Several deaths have also been attributed to this monster spider. The local people claim to have seen it, but sightings have become few and far between in recent times, and that is probably for the best, to be honest. Number 10. Electric mineral rock. Up next, we have a short video that seems to suggest that these rocks have some kind of electrical charge. Interesting. The footage shows the rocks sparking against each other, and another shows a bit of rock lighting a bulb. They claim that this rock is vibranium. Well, vibranium is actually a fictional metal in the Marvel Comics universe. It is a rare, invaluable metallic element that is supposed to be nearly indestructible and possess the ability to absorb and store vast amounts of kinetic energy. In the Marvel universe, vibranium is mostly associated with the African nation of Wakanda, where it is found in abundance. The most famous use is in Captain America's shield, which is made entirely of vibranium alloy. Vibranium is a plot device in various Marvel stories, since it can be used at the center of all kinds of conflicts and technological advancements. So, the likelihood that this rock is actually a fictional rock from a comic book universe. Well, it's not likely at all, but the internet does rather encourage such things. If there were electric rocks, it would certainly be helpful with all the energy needs of the expanding world. But fake electric rocks? They're not coming to save us anytime soon. Sorry about that. Number 9. Newly described truffle species. It turns out that bonobos, a type of primate that lives exclusively in the forests of Congo, are especially partial to a certain type of truffle. They are a more fancy and refined sort of ape. Researchers have observed bonobos using their keen sense of smell to locate these truffles, digging them up with surprising precision. This behavior highlights their complex foraging techniques and showcases their remarkable intelligence in adapting to their environment. A truffle is a special kind of fungus that grows underground near the roots of certain trees, like oak or hazelnut trees. It looks like a small, lumpy ball, and it's prized for its strong and unique flavor. People often use truffles to add a rich and earthy taste to food like pasta, risotto, or even chocolate. Some scientists believe the bonobo's preference for these truffles could play a role in seed dispersal, as the primate's foraging may disturb the soil and promote the growth of new plants. Because they're so rare and hard to find, they can be rather expensive and are considered a delicacy in many cuisines. Truffles found in the Congo are a type of underground fungus that grows in the forests of the region. They are similar to those found in other parts of the world and are characterized by their distinctive aroma and flavor. They typically grow near the roots of certain trees, forming a symbiotic relationship with them. Bonobo's affinity for these fungi underscores the intricate connections between wildlife and the delicate ecosystems of the Congo. Number 8. World's largest peatland. There are parts of Congo that are so remote that there are not even maps of the area, and GPS is not going to help you either. These parts are simply marked with a white space and a note saying there's not enough data. Despite its remoteness, this area is a treasure trove of biodiversity, housing species that scientists are only beginning to understand. It is home to unique flora and fauna, some of which may not exist anywhere else on Earth. The Congo rainforest is often referred to as the lungs of Africa, playing a crucial role in absorbing carbon dioxide and producing oxygen for the planet. There is apparently a huge store of natural gas under the Congo rainforest and a massive peatland, all untouched and still protecting the environment, which remains intact. These peatlands alone hold the equivalent of 3 years' worth of global fossil fuel emissions, making them vital for climate stability. According to Greenpeace, approximately 58% of this heretofore unproved land has now been opened up to prospectors, and those greedy oil and gas companies are drooling all the way to the bank. What happens next may well catapult the world into deeper and more rapid climate change. Well, fingers crossed then, I suppose. Number 7. Lesula rare monkeys. The Lesula monkey is a species of Old World monkey found in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in particular the Lomami Basin area of Central Africa. It was first described to science in 2012, and this makes it one of the most recent primate discoveries ever. It's thrilling stuff, I'm sure. Lesula monkeys have distinctive features, including a bright golden-colored patch on their lower back and a naked face that's usually a rather fetching blue in color. They have a relatively large range of vocalizations, including hoots, calls, and grunts, which they use for communication within their social groups. These monkeys mostly inhabit the lowland rainforests of Congo, which is a good place to forage for fruits, seeds, leaves, and other plant materials. They are also diurnal, which means they are active during the day and mostly seem to live in small family groups that are usually led by an alpha male. Although they are kind of rare and only seem to live in one part of the world, these monkeys are not currently classified as endangered. But, like most animals, their population is being threatened by habitat loss due to deforestation and hunting for bushmeat. So, fingers crossed for these monkeys in the end. Number 6. New lizard species. In 2012, a discovery was made in a war-torn region of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. As reported in the African Journal of Herpetology, a new lizard species was uncovered sheltering beneath a rock in the tall grasslands of the Irungu Plateau, an area notorious for landmines. You might hide under a rock as well if you were surrounded by mines. The lizards are described as having unique scale patterns and vibrant coloration, which may serve as camouflage in their rugged environment. Researchers speculate that the lizard's diet consists primarily of insects found in the tall grass, but little else is known about their feeding habits. The discovery highlights the resilience of wildlife in the face of human conflict, with these lizards adapting to survive in one of the most perilous regions of the world. Efforts to study them further are hindered not only by the presence of landmines but also by the instability of the region, making conservation nearly impossible. The plateau upon which they reside was the site of fierce conflict during the fighting in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo in the early 21st century. It is tricky to determine if the lizards specifically are endangered because war basically endangers the hell out of every living thing in the end. Number 5. Mokele-Mbembe. If you were one of the last of your species and wanted to stay hidden and safe from all of the dangerous stuff, where exactly would you hide? In a freezing cold loch in rainy old Scotland, or in the deepest forest of the most remote part of the Congo in Africa? What a conundrum. This is the story of the lesser-known dino-shaped monster creature that is believed to inhabit the area of the map that is so unknown it appears as a white space with the words insufficient data to delineate terrain. Some say the dense forests and sprawling swamps of the Congo Basin, largely untouched by modern civilization, offer the perfect refuge for a creature trying to avoid human detection. The locals tell stories of Mokele-Mbembe disrupting fishing activities and leaving behind enormous footprints in the mud. Sightings and reports are often accompanied by eerie descriptions of its low, rumbling calls echoing through the jungle. Explorers and cryptozoologists have ventured into the region numerous times, returning with tantalizing clues but never definitive proof. Skeptics dismiss the tales as myths or misidentified animals, but the mystery endures. The mythical creature, known by locals as Mokele-Mbembe, is believed to be a large reptile-like creature with a long neck and tail, much like the Loch Ness Monster itself. Number 4. Kongamato flying dinosaur cryptid. Kongamato is a cryptid, which is a fancy word for a mythical creature that is part of the folklore of a district in Zambia, although it has apparently also been witnessed in other parts of Africa, particularly in some swamps and nearby regions. Descriptions of it vary wildly, as these things often do. It is usually described as a large, bat-like creature with leathery wings and a wingspan of up to 7 feet. A bit like our old favorite, the Mothman. The name Kongamato roughly translates to breaker of boats in the local language, referring to its supposed habit of attacking canoes or other watercraft. According to local folklore, it's a dangerous predator known for attacking and sometimes killing humans and animals. But since there are actually dangerous predators that famously do this in the region, who knows if this is even vaguely verifiable. Here's a clue. It's not. Reports of encounters with the Kongamato date back to the early 20th century, with sightings reported by both local inhabitants and European explorers. Mostly, the ridiculous ideas that European explorers had were because they were hell-bent on painting the local people as being primitive, and they made up wild stories of daring adventures. This doesn't mean that any of their accounts even vaguely resemble the truth, though. Some cryptozoologists speculate that the Kongamato may be a surviving pterosaur, a group of flying reptiles believed to have gone extinct millions of years ago. But much like all the other alleged surviving dinosaur creatures, this one has never been actually proven to exist, and that's probably because it doesn't. While sightings of the creature continue to be reported on a sporadic basis, there is no concrete evidence to confirm its existence. Many researchers consider it to be a product of folklore and myth rather than a real creature. Nevertheless, the legend persists in the local culture and has captured the imagination of cryptozoologists and enthusiasts of the unexplained all around the world. Number 3. Giant millipede in rainforest. The giant African millipede typically only has about 300 to 400 legs. These creatures are the largest amongst all the 10,000 millipede species, and they are native to the rainforests of Africa. Millipedes might look like they're scary, but they are fairly feeble, even the giant ones. They have weak jaws and resort to curling into a ball and secreting a noxious fluid from their pores for defense, unlike centipedes, which do have a venomous bite. While centipedes often sport brightly colored bodies as a warning to predators and for fashion reasons, millipedes are typically less colorful and have rounded bodies. The giant African millipede has a segmented body, exoskeleton, and numerous legs. These range from 4 to 12 inches in length and are usually dark brown or black. Each giant African millipede has 40 or more body segments, each having 4 legs, that's 2 pairs, and it adds 1 new body segment with 4 legs after each molting. Some of these large millipedes may have up to 400 legs. They breathe through tiny pores called spiracles along their bodies, which means that if they get too wet, they actually risk drowning. These millipedes inhabit the African rainforests, munching their way through decaying organic matter like rotting wood and plants. Nocturnal by nature, they forage for food and burrow for shelter at night, probably because they're scared of everything and can only curl up in a ball to defend themselves. Poor giant millipedes. They're also rubbish at vision, so communication amongst giant African millipedes relies heavily on tactile senses, and possibly they also use scent-based communication. Sounds kind of stinky to me. Number 2. Child labor in mining. This video reveals the dark and dangerous hidden secrets behind our obsession with technology, as it shows a coltan mine. Coltan is short for columbite tantalite, which is also simply known as tantalite. This is the metallic or which contains elements niobium and tantalum. It is this tantalum that is most highly valued, as it's used to manufacture tantalum capacitors. These are essential components in mobile phones, computers, cameras, and the electronics in your car. In fact, most of our modern lives rely on the technology that is facilitated by this element. The demand for coltan has led to a brutal competition over resources, fueling armed conflicts and devastating communities in the region. Many of the miners are children, forced to leave school and work in these perilous conditions to support their families. The environmental cost is also catastrophic, as forests are stripped away and ecosystems destroyed to access the deposits. Activists and human rights groups have long called for greater transparency in the supply chain, pushing companies to ensure their materials are sourced responsibly. While some initiatives have been implemented, much of the coltan trade still operates in a murky, unregulated manner. So, guess what? Where there is a demand and therefore money to be made, somebody is going to get exploited. And in this case, it is some of the poorest and most vulnerable people of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The conditions in which the miners work are dangerous, cramped, and potentially deadly. There are gases that can cause asphyxiation, as well as the more long-term risks of breathing in these particles. There are now allegedly measures in place to ensure ethical mining practices. Right then. Number 1. Deadly outbreak of Ebola. The second largest Ebola virus disease outbreak ever happened in the Democratic Republic of Congo back in 2018. It was a deadly and horrifying incident that killed many people. Ever since, there have continued to be cases in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and these have had a fatality rate of 66%. Ebola virus is a deadly virus that can cause severe illness in humans and other primates, and it can lead to a disease known as Ebola virus disease or simply Ebola. Ebola virus is transmitted to humans primarily through contact with infected animals such as fruit bats, monkeys, or apes, either through handling them or consuming their meat. Once the virus enters the human population, it then spreads through human-to-human transmission via direct contact with bodily fluids of infected individuals. Symptoms of Ebola virus disease can include fever, severe headache, muscle pain, weakness, fatigue, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and unexplained bleeding or bruising. The disease can progress rapidly and lead to severe complications, including organ failure and death. Outbreaks of Ebola virus disease have occurred sporadically in Central and West Africa, with the largest outbreak recorded in West Africa from 2014 to 2016. The World Health Organization and other health organizations work to contain outbreaks through measures like isolating infected individuals, tracing contacts, providing supportive care, and promoting safe burial practices. Additionally, research continues to develop vaccines and treatments for Ebola virus disease. That's it from the Congo for today. What an exciting adventure it's been. Which of these strange discoveries captured your imagination the most? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the other cool videos on the screen, and I'll see you next time.